Virgo, hey, what is going on? Welcome into the channel. So happy to have you here always. My name is Deborah, owner of Purusha Holistic Wellness, and this is another episode of Purusha Intuitive, where we're going to look at your energy via the tarot, astrology, any channeled messages, as well as some Ayurvedic lifestyle habits, areas that we can really plug well-being into our daily living to help us combat some of those difficulties, those challenges that we often come into. So let's get into it. It is, we're in Gemini season right now. Well, depending on when you find this, I use the astrology from when I record. Keep that in mind. But messages still resonate. It's timeless readings. Take what fits, leave the rest behind. But we are in Gemini season right now when I'm recording. Gemini brings a little bit more energy, vitality in our day-to-day living. It governs messages, communication, intellect, what we do day to day, right? Like the people, situations we interact with, etc. So it is really good for helping grow, expand certain things, goals we have set for self. Venus is going to move into Leo, so it's a great time to attract new relationships, new dynamics. Not just love, but yes, love can be a component of that if that's something that you are looking for. Leo energy helps us put ourselves out there. It helps us engage with things that we're passionate about. It definitely has a vivacious energy. And then we'll have our new moon in Gemini. So there's a lot happening. It's not crazy in the astrology. I think I mentioned that, but it's not too crazy right now. It's giving us a lot of time to go within, to kind of find balance, harmony between any inner conflicts that we might be dealing with. Things that we have to make peace around specifically, or you have to make peace around specifically, so that you can better organize, situate yourself moving forward, But that's also why I like to start the readings off with an energy cleansing, just to set the tone, set the vibe for the reading, cleanse out those places you might feel blocked or limited. It's a really good time to set your own intention as well, Virgo, especially if you've come in with something on your heart, on your mind, something you would like Spirit to deliver messages to you around. Definitely give that over. Be open to receive. It really is a great way to personalize these collective readings. I also do personal readings. I offer a variety of healing, wellness services. Readings are one of them. If you want me to look at your specific situation, how it's faring, where it's headed, or if you're interested in more of that rebalancing of self, alignment of your mind, your body, your soul, I do energy healing as well as Ayurvedic or holistic wellness consultations. Because when we're strong, grounded, balanced in self, that's really where we're tapping into our happiness, our fulfillment, our abundance. And I would totally love to help support that for you, Virgo, in whatever way possible. Definitely hit me up. All the info to get into contact with me is in the description box below. All right, let's get into it. I bless you with pure love and light. Pure source energy, pure love and grace. I release anything that is not for your highest and best. Any fears, doubts, insecurities, lack of worth, lack of value, pain, anger, frustration, impatience, overwhelm. Cleanse it and release it from our being. Whew. So we may understand the messages clearly. Help to make me a clear and open channel for the collective. Thank you, Father God, Spirit guides, guardian angels, Mama Love. All right, I've been attacked by the sage a lot lately. Very interesting. So I am picking up a lot of, there's a lot of messages coming through, and I feel like, I don't know, it's interesting. There's a lot coming through. So I'm hearing that you might be feeling a little bit insecure around something, a situation that I feel like maybe you actually don't even need to be that insecure about, but for whatever reason, something's kind of provoking aspects of yourself where you have to look at parts of yourself that they do feel a little bit humbling, because I'm hearing it's like you're recognizing where you don't like yourself. And I apologize, Virgo, that this is such a heavy message. Maybe that's why I was getting attacked by the sage, so I wouldn't say it. I also feel like that's been part of tripping over my words. I've had a really hard time starting this reading as well. So it feels like there's just, and this is normal in the astrology right now. There is resistance. Pluto in retrograde is actually helping us see where that resistance is coming into play and how it might actually be detrimental for ourselves. And I feel like that's kind of why this is coming up. I know that doesn't necessarily make it feel better, but I am getting this energy of just feeling a little bit sensitive or insecure or not really confident in self. And we all struggle with that, right? Like we all have our insecurities. And actually, when we kind of realize that everyone's very self-conscious, then it diffuses the power that insecurity can have over us. And what I love, this is like silver lining confirmation. I'm sorry if I've made it annoying or difficult to start off with, but you're breaking through. You are breaking through this limitation. Something that I feel like, you know, it was a perspective, something that you saw or maybe judged. I was hearing judgment as well. And this is like judgment, not only judgment of yourself, but of others too. It looks like you moved into a space of service, which I know feels very counterintuitive, but like I think Spirit was leading you into this place where you had to be of service. I feel like this is part of also, which is kind of revealing some of the mentality or some of the things that maybe you do need to readjust a little bit. Acts of service are like just the best thing we can do, right? Not just because we're helping others, but it really does put things into perspective. And especially when we have certain limiting ideas, beliefs around people or the life we're living, service helps, again, put things into perspective. Not just because we're helping someone who needs it, but it's this value of recognizing that the gold-plated problems can be very gold-plated, you know, especially in the Western world, more specifically in the Western world, I'm saying, just because there is a lot of abundance everywhere. But I like this energy for you. I think that transformation card popped out a few times. So there is transformation happening and it feels good. Yes, like I said, there's a little bit of struggle around this. It's always hard to admit parts of ourselves that we don't like or that make us feel a little bit more vulnerable, insecure. But you're pushing towards something. I feel like this is going to be a really big breakthrough when it does happen. A breakthrough of understanding. It's adding a new layer to your life that can help you open up and to be more abundant and not get so limited. And it does look like some of what you were dealing with, some of the things that you did kind of have to, where that judgment was coming into play or whatever, it was like a lot of projection. I'm hearing old woundings resurfacing, and maybe thinking something was, you know, not what it was selling itself to be, thinking that it was something of the past. But like I said, it looks like you've gotten put into a position of service that's helping clarify this energy. And it does look like there's a lot of growth in this process. Again, I want to emphasize, I know growing isn't always easy. It doesn't really feel good. But that is why we take care of ourselves. That's why Ayurveda is a huge proponent of daily routine, because the way we set ourselves up strongly dictates how successful we will be. If you look at any person who produced any great work throughout time, they had like a schedule and they were like doing the same thing over and over and over again whenever they were producing that work, because it's even the monks wear the same thing. So they don't have to put energy into like the deciding of what to wear, right? That's part of that uniform. Sorry, that's maybe not the right word. I apologize. But just that value of like when we streamline other places in our life, it really actually helps us become more successful in the areas that we actually want to see success. I'm getting so into this because the 8 of Swords comes up. So again, places that you were limiting yourself, right? Like maybe even kind of just not seeing the longevity of something or not seeing the value of something. I do think it feels like an uncomfortable realization. I'm not going to lie, Virgo. And again, I apologize that the energy is heavy. I hope I'm not coming across unfeeling. Yeah, okay, 5 of Wands, conflict. Someone's creating conflict. Maybe it's brought up a lot of conflict. And so you've put yourself in this place where, again, this 4 of Coins, self-protection, it does remind me a lot of the 8 of Swords, right? If we don't believe or if we think it's one thing, then when we're feeling this around us or within the energy, we are going to kind of go into hermit mode, into self-protection. And maybe it was just some of the repercussions that you were dealing with. 5 of Wands is not an easy energy. It is conflict. It's competition for the sake of competition. People trying to. It's not as brutal as the 5 of Swords, excuse me, but it definitely has this component of like, you know, you kind of have to hold your own, and it feels like maybe you weren't able to, or that's where that sensitivity came into play. Maybe there were just certain things that like you were seeing and expressing, and it wasn't necessarily met with the response that you were looking for. And that's why you went into self-protection mode. Okay, the Emperor. someone making decisions for you is what it looks like. It looks like this is part of where that conflict came into play. Difference of opinion. And, you know, I think that it looks like someone else had the final say, and you kind of had to be compliant in this dynamic. And you've done that, right? You've done that. But again, that's where your self-protection energy has come into play. Like, you don't want to give too much of yourself. You don't want to be too vulnerable. Things are looking a little bit different, though, as it's progressing. It's moving towards a climax of a situation. Like, I feel like a dynamic, it's ready to change. It's ready to evolve. And it's kind of hitting this place where it's not make or break. Everyone has a decision about how it's going to go. And I'm seeing that there's a lot of ambiguity as to where it's going to lead. And I think part of this is because you still have to get more clear within yourself. It's not just about, unfortunately, and I did learn this personally the hard way, it's not just about self-protection, because when we go into that mode, it really shuts down other channels, other avenues that could be really abundant for us, right? And it looks like that's partially what you did. It does look like that's changing, but again, on the heels of what someone else is saying that needs to happen or how something is evolving. And there, like I said, there's good things coming out of it. 8 of Pentacles. And I think you're seeing some of this value. I think that's what some of this breakthrough is as you're endeavoring this week or whenever you find this message. It's helping you to kind of put a situation or a person into perspective a little bit more. But they also have their own stuff too, right? Like, it looks like there was a little bit of conflict around you and maybe how this played out. Emotional new beginnings. Someone was being too emotional. Maybe that's what made it hard to trust someone or something, or you couldn't really understand the intensity of their emotions. It looks like you want to make plans with someone moving forward, and I'm not sure that they're really on the same page as you quite yet. And this is part of where that conflict has come into play. Because whatever got missed, and I'm not saying you should have, it's not a good, bad, right, or wrong, right? Life happens as it happens. And we can't go back. We do the best that we can with where we're at the time. Also, because of how things have kind of evolved, there is a little bit of hesitancy from this energy. Maybe even feeling a little bit competitive towards you. It looks like a cycle is resurfacing as well. 7 of Swords. It's a little icky where someone, I don't know if this is you or if it's them, but this is where the situation is delicate. And it makes sense with this tame and attain, because there might be something that is happening. I'm hearing this as you have a realization, that realization changes your perspective, but then it might be hard to let go of what you originally thought or felt, and might even be penalizing someone or a situation or keeping them in that box because it's easier for you to do. Instead of recognizing that oh, this isn't what I thought it was, so maybe I need to give this person's situation a little bit more of the benefit of the doubt. And again, I'm not trying to be overly hard on you. I just see that there's things that have happened that have created difficulties. And that is any relationship dynamic that we're involved in, right? The longer we're there, the more we see, experience, and have to be open and flexible. If we're not, it creates a lot of rigidity. We're seeing that a little bit here with this Emperor in the blocked energy. So maybe you want things to look very specifically. And when they're not necessarily meeting your expectation, it looks like there's a little bit of backlash. And I'm not really sure that the backlash is a positive thing. That's where I think this tame and attain is coming into play for you. Tempering those forces. Trying not to be too hard on people, situations in your life. The 2 of Wands pops up. Maybe give a little bit more grace and space to let people and dynamics show you who and what they are. That value of judgment that I was picking up in the very beginning. And again, Virgo, we all have to do this stuff, right? But I think you wanted, the thing is the way that things are right now, this is basically saying that a decision does, or maybe you feel like a decision has to be made, or maybe you kind of gave something a time limit, we'll wait for X amount of time, whatever. And then now that time is up, and it's looking different than what you had originally thought. The Two of Swords, I'm hearing this specifically as a decision does have to be made, but it's not an easy decision to make. And it looks like you're leaving it up to someone else, or if it's the King of Wands is your energy, then it's like you have to embody this kind of like, it might be a little bit of a brutal energy that you have to embody, something that you're not completely comfortable with, something that's not really in your authentic nature, how you would typically do things, okay? Two of Cups, that's a good sign. Someone's becoming a little bit more open and flexible, but then it's making it harder for you. I don't know. Something is not getting cleared up. And again, this is just for the week, whatever, maybe next week it will be a little more understandable or more pieces will have fallen into place. But it has this energy of like, it does look like a lot of back and forth, and things that have happened aren't specifically intentional, but they're also not life-giving for the relationship. And I think that there's a lot of I feel like there's more understanding on what this is and what it represents in your life. But now there's decisions to be made. And it does look like, even though water under the bridge, yada, yada, there's an opportunity here for you, but it stresses you out. And maybe it stresses you out just because of how things unfolded, how they unraveled, what got said, what happened. Fear that it is, because when we have to admit, it's like when we have to admit that we don't know, that can be a really scary thing, right? That can definitely be one of those things where it's like, oh my gosh, like I didn't see this correctly, and maybe it's not this way, and I just have to be, it can just be really scary. It can be really scary when we feel like we're losing our sense of clarity and understanding. But it's inevitable change. It's change that's happening. We have Pluto in retrograde right now through mid-October, and it's highlighting the places that things need to change. And I think this dynamic did have to shift. It does look like it's a reshuffling in a way that it is working itself out, but it's working itself out to say, this is the reality, and then now what are you going to do about it? And I think that in and of itself is very stressful. It's harder now that things are more grounded and balanced. When we're settled, we can actually see things clearly again. And I think this is just like not feeding the beast. That's what I'm hearing with this tame and attain for you, Virgo. Try not to let your mind get the best of you, to go down that path of judgment, to think worst case scenario or whatever, Ayurveda has this thing of like, don't be so concerned with everyone else's life, right? Like concern yourself with you. And we love drama and gossip and reality TV and all that craziness, right? But and maybe it makes us feel better on some level, but it's just not real. It's not real life. And I feel like when we're so consumed by everything else, we do end up forgetting about ourselves. We do lose our grounding and stability. We do go into worst case scenario, fear mode, etc. And everything has its cycles and phases. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not so good. Sometimes we love someone, sometimes they're like the most annoying person in the world to us. It's just life, right? And it doesn't take away love or value or understanding. So much of that is also mirrored with how we are treating ourselves, the things we think and feel about ourselves, which I feel like is that full circle moment with the first channeled messages that were coming through. I even feel like after this reading, like just more confidence in who you are and not feeling so nervous, so afraid about maybe some of these things. Yes, they might color the perspective moving forward, but it's not anything that you can't manage or turn around, especially if you want this. Something is being offered to you. You do have an opportunity, and it does look like it's the start of something good. It's the start of something good where now everyone can just understand clearly what it is. But how we move, the choices that we make in and of that reality is really going to dictate how things progress. So sorry if it was too heavy. I hope I softened it. I hope I wasn't too blunt. Thank you so much for your time, energy. Always, Virgo. I hope you enjoyed the reading, or at least found messages that resonated for you here that can just help you kind of navigate the trickier parts of life. I appreciate your time and energy so much, especially if you've made it this far in the reading. Definitely drop comments below. I love to connect. I love to hear how it did resonate, or just share in a little love, little TLC. Thank you so much for all the love, all the support to the channel. Know that I'm sending it back your way.